So now the next step is to create the Flash file. In the new document window that comes up, we like to work with ActionScript 3 files. Now, when I look at this, I will notice a few things. My project is 550 by 400 pixels in size. If you had bothered to check the pixel size or dimensions of the image file that we're going to be working with, it's 640 by 480 because it comes from the basic webcam photo booth capture. So with that, I could change my file size now. I could do that over here in my document properties. So I'm in the properties panel, look at document. I can edit the size of my document. Or Flash can detect the size of the image I'm trying to bring in, and it will actually ask me, do you wish to resize your document to match that? So I'm going to go with that option instead today, just to show you the other way about it. But otherwise, if I did hit edit, it comes up, I can see my dimensions, width and height, and I can adjust those as I need to. To bring artwork into Flash, it's accomplished by going under the File pull-down menu, and I choose Import. And I'm going to choose Import to Stage, so it will take this Photoshop file and stick it onto my stage. So it gets ready to import, and now it comes up with this dialog, and I navigate to my file, which is in a folder on the desktop. And I will see here's my face.psd that I worked with, and I choose Open. Now, Flash detects that I have layers here. It goes, hey, look, and it also notices that, ooh, that background layer was turned off. So it's even going, oh, maybe you don't want to import it because it's turned off. So it used to be you had to export each layer as its own PNG file and then manually import each layer one at a time. And then get them all aligned properly and positioned on the stage correctly, and it was a huge pain. Now, I bring it in, it knows the names of the layers, it knows based on which layers were on and off, it suspects that those might be just the ones I want to work with, so I'll choose those. And I can even say set stage to same size as Photoshop, so I'll choose that. And at this point, because I'm going to animate it, it's best to convert something to a symbol. We'll talk a little bit more about symbols later on this morning. But right now, I know that if I want to animate this face, I'm going to move it. I can have Flash turn it into a symbol, and I can choose Create Movie Clip for this layer right now, and it will turn it to a symbol object, which that doesn't, mean much to you yet, but it will as we start doing more and more animation in Flash. So I'm just going to choose that now, just so it's done. And then I hit OK, and now I will see that I now have two layers, my face layer and my mouth layer, sitting here in Flash ready to go. Here's the mouth, and I can move that around to my heart's content. Now I'm going to undo that, and this is the first step, is getting the artwork into Flash. And if I want to animate, I need to let these layers take place over time. Animation is change over time. Currently they exist for one frame, 1/24th of a second. My document properties tells me this is a 24 frames per second file. 24 FPS frames per second. So right now, my movie is 1 frame long, 1/24th of a second. So if I want it to be longer, I need to add frames. So now the next, after you've completed this, the next portion is to get the audio into Flash. But what I should probably do first is I should save this, because currently it's Untitled 1. I created my file, brought artwork in. I haven't saved it yet. It's always a good idea to save it. So I need to go and save this, because Flash is known for its ability to crash regularly, unpredictably, and annoyingly. So you're highly encouraged to save early, save often. Every time you complete any major step or major change, make sure you save. And it's even a good idea to do save as and save different iterations, so you have multiple versions of the file, because the files will sometimes corrupt themselves. If you don't have a backup to go to, you have to start completely from scratch. So it's not unheard of to build a project and put hours upon hours, 10s, 20, 50 hours into a project and have the file corrupt itself. So experienced students have learned through heartache, pain, and suffering to make backup files. Every day I work on a major project in Flash, I make a new copy to work from. I duplicate the old one and start working on the new one. Otherwise, I could be out days or weeks of work, and that's unacceptable in my book. So I'm just going to save this in the same folder as everything else, so it's all in one tidy location. So now it's been saved. Now I want to bring the audio into Flash. One thing about working with audio in Flash is a property of a frame. So it used to be you would put audio on your timeline. It gives you that same visual representation it's doing it, but that's not really how Flash is dealing with it. You set up a keyframe. So these are all keyframes right here. And then you tell Flash, I want the sound to play on this keyframe. So I accomplish that by getting my audio in by saying File, Import. And in this case, for audio, it doesn't matter whether I choose Import to Library or Import to Stage. There are times where you want to bring assets or artwork into your Flash project, but you don't want it to actually go onto a layer or onto a stage. So you just say Import to Library, and then you have it for future use. Now I'm going to go grab my soundbite that's been provided. And I can see nothing changed in my timeline. There's nothing going on down here. It's very useful. It's not required, but it's very useful to always put audio onto its own layer. That allows you to be able to find it easily. If you can't find your audio, you can't tell which keyframe it's on, you're like, where is it? If audio is only on its own layer, it makes your life much easier. So I'm going to take this layer, which defaulted as layer 1, and I'm going to call this my audio layer. I will rename that layer audio. So now it's labeled audio, it's ready to go. But we don't see any audio there. There's nothing telling me there's audio there. But if I look in my library, I will see that I have a folder with my PSD assets. And then I have my audio file here. So I can see that it's there. It's just not quite accessible yet. So going back to properties, sound is a property of a frame. That's just a very important little mantra to get going through your brain. Sound is a property of a frame. So if I click on a frame, I will notice the property panel changes from my document properties to frame properties. So the property panel is context sensitive. If I click on artwork, it gives me of the movie clip. If I click on my bitmap, it gives me the properties of that. If I click on this frame, it gives me properties for that frame. Sound is a property of a frame. Sound property frame. I'm stressing that so that when you're working late at night and trying to remember where and how to find the sounds or gain access to them, you'll have that little mantra running through your brain. Sound is a property of a frame. So if I click on my sound name, it was none, and now I can choose the sound file that's been provided. Now, the final thing we need to worry about here is our syncing method. Currently we are set to event. So Flash has, besides stop, which you can say sound stop, otherwise you have 3 ways of syncing the audio on this frame. Stream, start, and event. So if I look down in my timeline, I'll look real close and see that there's a little hint of audio that's now there that wasn't there before. If I go back to none, we see it's an empty keyframe. But now, if I choose audio, it's there. The syncing mode of event means the event of entering this frame will cause the sound to play, which is different than start, which is when I hit that keyframe, it tells the sound to start. But if the sound has been started, it won't start a new copy. Event, every time I hit that frame, it will start that sound playing again and again and again. So periodically you can actually run into the problem if you've ever been on a Flash website where you hear sounds that start kind of playing on top of themselves. You're like, what is going on? It's because they used the wrong syncing method for their audio. And stream is the one we will actually be using for the purposes of this, and we'll cover that in a moment. So I'm going to take my project and just extend this out for a few more frames. And we can see there's that waveform occurring. If I scrub this, nothing happens. If I hit enter or return,
Zombies make very nice house pets.
so we can see that it plays. The audio kept playing after the end of the project. Now if I take this and do test movie, so it creates the actual finished Swift file, the published file, we'll see that as it loops through every 10 frames, it's going to start a new copy of that sound playing. So it will get very ugly very quickly.
Zombies make very nice.
So what's happening is that keyframe, every time it looped through, it started a new copy of that sound playing. If I change this from event to start and do the same thing.
Zombies make very nice house pets. Zombies make very nice house pets. Zombies make very...
So what we can see is start, it won't start a new copy playing until the existing one is done. So that's a little bit better, but if I'm trying to animate with this, it's hard to see what's going on because I can see the waveform, but I can't hear it. So I really don't know how I should be moving the mouth. So to take care of that, what I need to do is change it from not event, not start, but choose stream. So I can now scrub the timeline and hear the audio play. Now, I'm going to add more frames here for the audio. So we can see that it is approximately 74 frames long for that sound to play. So it's about 3.1 seconds in length. So we can see
Zombies make very nice house pets.
if I scrub it the right speed, it actually starts to sound almost correct. So now I'm going to put my face, I'll give that frame so it can exist. Now my recommendation is you take these two layers and lock them. If you lock these two bottom layers, click on the little lock icon, that will then prevent you from adjusting them or doing anything incorrectly to them. So the rest of what you do is about setting up and getting things animating correctly. So now all that is required is to add in keyframes and move the mouth accordingly. So now if I want to start out, the mouth is closed. So at the start of Zombies, so right about here, I'm going to hit F6, insert that, and then hit F6 again and move the mouth even further down. Oops. Sorry, I missed. Now hit F6, move it further down. So, and let's see, the M sound, the mouth closes on the MB kind of sound. So I will want to bring this, at this point, hit F6 again, and pull the mouth shut. And just so it doesn't get so ugly, if I just extend that out using F5. Now I'm using F5 and F6, the key commands we looked at last week for doing basic animation with this.
Zombies make...
So it actually kind of works for the zombies, which is a nice word because it's open and then immediately closed for the MBs, zombies, and then maybe for the E's I'll want to open it up again. So I can click in the timeline, hit F6, and now just pull it down just a little bit for the E's, and then close it when it's done.
Zombies make very...
Not too bad. So you can see for doing the JibJab animation, okay, so there's 1 second, 1 minute of work, 30-second animation, way more than 30 seconds worth of work. But I mean, you can see that it's not an insurmountable task. It's something that just takes some practice and then grinding it out. Animation is work. It takes time and it's work. So now it's just a matter of adding in the necessary keyframes to then build the animation of the mouth so that when it's done,
Zombies.
you have a full featured animation. Now, if you want to add in Flash artwork on top of this, you can certainly add in additional layers. And on those layers, then you can do frame by frame or whatever type of animation you desire to create. So you could decide that at this point, maybe, you know,
Zombie.
because maybe I need red eyes because I'm talking about zombies or something. I mean, it's up to you. Be creative with it and have fun. And then save, and when you're done, then the flaw file that you work on for this is what I will want to see. There's a Dropbox for this in called mouth animation, and I will want you to put this little animated piece into it to demonstrate to yourself and to me that you can do some simple animation using photo source materials.